Well, the time has come. Welcome to Show Me Your Deck, Captain N'ghathrod. Hey ladies and gentlemen, thanks for stopping by. I'm the Nerdy Attorney. Today we're going to be doing a deck tech for one of my favorite decks of all time, Captain N'ghathrod, the Mind Flayer deck. It began its life as a precon, and as you'll see, it's been rather beefed up ever since I've had it. This deck was one of the first decks that made me realize just how painful Dimir can be to play against. I remember having my friend take my cards and use them against me, and it just felt wrong. It felt dirty, it felt terrible, and now, well, I did the same thing to other people. Well, I'm excited to go through this and talk about some potential upgrades and includes that I want to put in from more recent sets, since I haven't upgraded this probably since last year. So there's a lot of new things that we can put in to make this deck, I think, even a little bit more aggressive and more fun to play against. And by fun, I mean a great way to lose friends. But either way, if you like this kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button, do everything you can to let the algorithm know that you like this content and you want to see more. It helps a little channel out like mine more than you know. Also, if you want to support the channel, use my affiliate link below for Mana Pool, great place to buy cards in a marketplace that's not directly linked to TCG pricing. All right, let's dive in. So first and foremost, the whole point of this deck, let's read the commander, Captain N'ghathrod. What he does is, horrors you control have menace. Whenever a horror you control deals combat damage to a player, that player mills that many cards. At the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact or creature card in an opponent's graveyard that was put there from their library this turn. Put it onto the battlefield under your control. Now, it's important to note that means that a board wipe will not make all of those cards available for me to steal, only ones that they have discarded. So obviously discard mechanics are very powerful and very sought after in this deck. I have my gorgeous oil slick lands in here. I might include some of the venom ones if we need it, but I did throw some in before the video just to try and balance out some of the new cool lands that we have to add. Nephalia Drownyard, target player mills 3 cards on a land. Yes, it taps for colorless, but a great include in the deck. Very happy to have it. Soul Ring. I got this from one of the 3 packs I bought of Fallout. I largely skipped this set, but I really liked all the stuff with the Pip-Boy on there. So very happy to have this in the deck. A cool treatment of Soul Ring. Now, another important thing here is the horror subclass. When I first built this deck, I accidentally removed too many horrors, but the horrors trigger the discard mechanic when I have Captain N'ghathrod on the battlefield. So you'll notice a lot of horrors in this deck. Wharf Infiltrator. This guy is Skulk. He can't be blocked by creatures with greater power than him. So even getting in for 1 damage activates Captain N'ghathrod and is very, very good in this deck. Tainted Isle, a decent dual land. Fractured Sanity, a really, really cool altered art card. This is 3 blue. Each opponent mills 14 cards. That's right. If I still have every player in the battlefield, if I hit with this while Captain N'ghathrod is on the battlefield, that means that there is a possibility of 42 new cards put in graveyards for me to take a look at the end of the turn, which is just absolutely insane for 3 blue in this deck. Really super powerful, and it really plays very well in the deck. Sword of Body and Mind, artifact equipment, equip creatures +2/+2 as protection from green and blue. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, I get to create a token, which is nice, and then that player puts the top 10 cards of his or her library into her graveyard. Obviously very good for mill mechanics, and we want that in the deck. Kindred Discovery, another great card here, altered as well for a nice borderless treatment with a little bit of a rock there to give it some 3D depth. It's 3 and 2 blue. As Kindred Discovery enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Obviously, we choose horror. Whenever a creature you control of that type enters the battlefield or attacks, I get to draw a card. So this can play very well in a horror-centric deck. Deadly Rollick, one of the most powerful pieces of tech when you have your commander out. I can exile a target creature for free, which I definitely want to do to have a little bit of control and to give me more time as the game progresses. Riverturn Monument, I threw this in because it seems pretty good. I can pay 1 tap, any number of players, each mill 2 cards, so that counts as discard because it goes from their library into their graveyard. And then any number of target players, each mill cards, equal number of cards in their graveyard, which could just be deadly as the game continues to go on. This is a great piece of mid-range tech that's going to play super well with N'ghathrod. Toxrill the Corrosive, he creates horrors, he is a horror. It's a great thing for me to do to continue to build strong friendships amongst my playgroup. For those who don't know, Toxrill is toxic. He's a really kind of mean card to play, which is why I built an entire Toxrill deck that's mostly lands, but we'll talk about this some other time. Toxic Deluge, as an additional cost of spell, pay X life, all creatures get -X till end of the turn. This just helps if it took me a while to build up Captain N'ghathrod. I have a way to reset the board state that doesn't slow me down too much. Exotic Orchard, another beautiful land. Brainstealer Dragon, this card plays super well in the deck. It's 5 and 2 black. It's a dragon horror, so he's flying a little bit harder to block. At the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of each opponent's library, so immediately gives me another trigger for Captain N'ghathrod to try and pull from. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana as though were any color to cast it. Whenever a non-land permanent an opponent owns enters the battlefield under your control, They lose life equal to its mana value. It does a lot. It's expensive, but it really is a great piece of utility stapled onto a horror 6/6 flyer. Sludge Monster, just another good horror to have. Dauthi Horror Shadow can't be blocked by creatures except if they have Shadow, which is very unusual. So again, gets me in for 2 triggers if N'ghthrod's on the battlefield, and I guarantee myself I'm going to make some contact there, which is nice. Mind Flayer. When Mind Flayer enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. This is just super fun to have. Came with the precon and goes with that aggressive sort of control style that Dimir likes to play. Takenuma, it's better than a swamp and has great utility. Arcane Signet speaks for itself. Another good filter land here. You pay 1, I'm going to get both the colors I need. Rhystic Study because it's super powerful and a lot of fun to play. Maybe not play against, but fun to play. Uchulan, which is a crab ooze horror. Uchulan's power is equal to the number of crabs, oozes, and other horrors you control, which in this deck, there is another way to create horror tokens besides Toxrill. So you'll see that can work out pretty well as well in the deck. Strident Resonator, of course, I want to copy any sort of ability. I can copy Captain N'ghthrod's trigger, and that's super helpful in this deck to speed up a little bit. Fierce Guardianship, of course, a really good counter to hold on to. Port of Karfell came with the deck and is pretty decent because it can return a creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield, which is nice. Creeping Tar Pit. This again is a land, but it turns itself into a black elemental creature that can't be blocked. Unfortunately, it's not a horror, but still just a cool dual land to have. Very flavorful, came with the deck, and I keep it in here. Dimir Aqueduct, also very good. Force of Will for further protection because this is an expensive deck to play in terms of mana cost. So I like having free protection whenever I can. A nice flip land here to be able to choose what color I need at the time. Swan Song, again, cheap ways to control my opponent's gameplay as the game goes along. Maddening Cacophony, this card is insane in this deck. Probably one of the best ones in here. Except this one has kicker 3. Each opponent mills 8 cards. If this spell was kicked instead, they mill half their library rounded up. It's insane, it's really cool, and just, I mean, it is a beast in this deck. Spark Double, I like having the opportunity to make more horrors and then also maybe take something good on your battlefield. A lot of this deck is built around, I want to take and play your stuff. Spark Double is another way to do that if you have something good on the battlefield that I can't get to the graveyard through discard. Mirrored Landscape. Nemesis of Reason, another great card in this. Whenever it attacks, defending player mills 10 cards. I don't even have to make contact with this, and they're still going to mill. And if Captain N'ghathrod is out, it's more targets for me to grab out of their graveyard. Dimir Kairoon, it can convert itself into a black horror artifact creature until end of turn that again can't be blocked. So I guarantee 2 cards going into the graveyard with this if Captain N'ghathrod is on the battlefield. Liliana of the Veil forces discards in this gorgeous retro foil. Of course, she's going to be in there. Pongify, again, good control tech in Dimir. Traumatize. This is also really good. Target player puts half their library rounded down into his or her graveyard. I've been working on trying to make this deck also be a deck because of mill being so strong that might actually mill somebody to death. I haven't pulled it off yet, but I've gotten close. Phyrexian Obliterator, it's 4 black, it's amazing, it looks gorgeous in this oil slick treatment, and it is itself a horror, which is wonderful. He has trample, so it increases the chance that I'm gonna make contact with him as a 5/5. Whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. You just don't want to block this card. So it's a chance of me to get 5 activations of N'ghathrod pretty quick. Drown in the Lock, again, really good for Dimir just generally. I can counter a spell with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard, which is going to go up and up and up as the game continues. And then I can also destroy target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of cards in its graveyard. So, as we keep getting more and more things milled in their graveyard, this card becomes better and better, and it only costs a blue and a black in order to cast it. Super powerful, super fun, and great in this deck. I just put this card in today, Kefka's Tower, Bolas' Citadel. I still have not had a deck that really wants Bolas' Citadel. This one might be a good opportunity to use it, so we'll see if I like it and want to keep it in the deck. The One Ring, because why not? Malleable Imposter, this is also pretty cool as well. It's a shapeshifter, so I can convert it into a horror, and then it has Flying Flash to surprise people. You may have it enter as a copy of any creature an opponent controls, except it's a fairy shapeshifter in addition to its other types with flying. So I can copy a big thing on someone else's battlefield, give it flying, give it flash, make it a little bit harder to block, and that would also give me more triggers of Captain N'ghathrod. Again, that horror archetype is really important for this deck to churn. Rivendell, it's just better than a basic island in this gorgeous search foil, and I can activate it if I control a legendary creature. Well, I'm trying to have Captain N'ghathrod out as often as possible, so worth keeping in the deck. Grazalix, Iflit Scholar, this also came in the deck, just a good horror, and I can also have one or more creatures I control deal combat damage to a player and draw a card when that occurs. So really nice to have to give me more options to maybe get more of my mill mechanics out. Endless Evil, it's an aura. This is really good because I can create tokens of my horror tokens if I have maybe Toxtril out that makes the slugs, or if I have out any of the ones that creates additional ones of my horrors, just to have more chances to activate N'ghathrod. Phyrexian Revoker also came in the deck, but really good. Activated abilities of a source of the chosen name can't be activated. Kind of mean if you play it against somebody's commander, but it does work, and in a pinch can help you win a game or survive just a little bit longer. Virtue of Persistence. This is one of those really great virtue cards. I can play either of these sides or both depending on how I sequence it. I can have target creature -3/-3 till end of turn, or at the beginning of your upkeep, put a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Just so good in a deck where I'm building out people's graveyards. Just another good horror that can help get more triggers while also having a bit of upside itself. Altar of Dementia, sacrifice creature. Target player mills cards equal to sacrifice creature's power. Really good if I'm in a bind and need to activate N'ghathrod. Aboleth Spawn, this one has Flash and Ward 2. Whenever a creature entering the battlefield under an opponent's control causes a trigger ability of that creature to trigger, you may copy that ability. So this is pretty decent. It came in the deck. I don't really use its text. It's more or less a Ward 2 Flash 2/3 horror, and there's a chance that I can activate that ability. More of those lovely swamps. Ravenous Chupacabra, a really good horror as well, and it helps me have a little bit of control by destroying a creature when it enters. Lightning Greaves, because of course. Now, this came out also in Doctor Who. I couldn't believe how good it is for this deck. It's Shadow, so hard to block, indestructible. It's a 1/1 that costs 2 and a black. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on him. He gets huge in this deck. One ring to rule them all. This is really good, destroying all non-legendary creatures, and then each opponent loses 1 life for each creature card in that player's graveyard. This can be a win con if I'm doing a good job in building out those graveyards for my opponents. Counterspell, of course. Consuming Abomination, another good horror to have. Time Reaper. This is also an insane horror that came out in Doctor Who. It's 3 and 2 black. It's a creature alien horror, flying haste, which is insane. Whenever Time Reaper deals combat damage to a player, put target face-up card they own in exile on the bottom of their library. If you do, gain 3 life. So a 4/4 flying haste for 5 is awesome, and that secondary ability does often trigger. Haunted One is a background. I don't know if I could actually activate this in this deck. I always forget how the tech works, if I'm able just to play this and attach it, or if I have to have something that actually says choose a background. So I'm debating keeping this in there, but it came in the deck, so I'm assuming they have ways to make it work. I've never thought too hard about it, but now that we're doing a deck tech on it, I better nail down on exactly what this card does and how it works. Song of the Damned, I get to add 1 black of the mana pool for each creature in my graveyard, which could go very well for me if I just had a board wipe played, help me get back in the game, and maybe get Captain N'ghathrod out a little bit faster again after removal, or even for the first time, depending on how the game's going. Ruin Crab is one of those cards that I didn't find out about for a little bit, but it's amazing. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, each opponent mills 3 cards. Insane for 1 blue. Yeah, one of the best cards in the deck. A beautiful extended art of Sir Conrad the Grim. He's incredible. Most people know what he does, but the biggest thing is I can pay 1 in the black. Each player mills a card. Temple of Deceit, a Scry land, dual land. Sakashima, again, I built a theme of I want to take your stuff, which includes copying your stuff. Otawara, better than a basic island and gives me good control. Ingress Wake, so a good board wipe, a little expensive, but it's worth it because it's a one-sided board wipe. More great oil slick lands. Rise of the Dark Realms in a deck about milling other people's stuff. Oh my god, beastly. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. I almost got this off the last game I played with this deck and my buddy countered it. It was the saddest moment of my life, I think. Meteor Crater, just a good land to have. Another great oil slick. Path of Ancestry. Mind Crank, it's a colorless artifact. 2, whenever an opponent loses a life, that player mills that many cards. Oh, it just starts to combo off. So strong in this deck. Rogue's Passage, make my horrors unblockable, even more important than ever. Command Tower. Jace the Perfected Mind. This one is good too because it's a little cheaper to cast with that Phyrexian blue up top, but the big one is the -2. Target player mills 3 cards, then if a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, you draw 3 cards. Otherwise, you draw a card. And then also this one, if I have a lot of mana, target player mills 3 cards X amount of times. So this could also deck somebody if I have out Bruvac or one of the other cards you'll see, or any of my ones that increase the amount of mill triggers somebody gets. Hullbreaker Horror in the gorgeous Innistrad Remastered foil retro border. This spell is just insane to play against. If you know, you know. Flash, it can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose it to 1, return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. It's just insane control tech, and it was in the deck, so here we are. Bruvac, I'm going to swap this one out right now. I've wanted to put this card in a deck for a while. Bruvac doubles my triggers. If an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill twice that many cards instead. I had a chance to pick this up from my LGS, and I've been waiting to put it in this deck, and I think today is the day. A serialized Bruvac from Ravnica. They had a lot of different serialized cards, but I never pulled one myself, so I was excited to pick this up. I got it for a good deal, and now here it is in the deck that wants it most. Bruvac, the Grandiloquent. Double my mill triggers, and now serialized. Royal Elemental, this is 3 and 3 blue. It has a landfall trigger as well, a flying 3/2 elemental. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain control of target creature as long as you control Royal Elemental. Again, I want to take your stuff and use it against you. Overcharged Amalgam, this also is flash flying and it's a zombie horror, so it's amazing. And then whenever it exploits, I can counter a spell, activate ability, or triggered ability. So it gives me control, it helps me with the horror triggers. It's just an overall winner in this deck. Extract from Darkness, each player mills 2 cards, then you put a creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Obviously good in a deck like this. Demir's Signet. Spellskite, this is super cool. You can change the target of any spell or ability to Spellskite. So really powerful way to control and stop other people's interaction. Nanogen Conversion, another card that just feels tailor-made for this from Doctor Who, which again was a set I wasn't very excited about, but if it's cool, I'm gonna play it. Sorcery for 3 and a blue. Choose target creature control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. Amazing for horror triggers. Amazing to maybe have Captain N'ghathrod just proc multiple times over and over again by building like 10 Captain N'ghathrods all to trigger. That would just mill or deck everybody if I get enough damage in at the same time. I mean, the interactions would be insane. Never got it off, but I'm hoping for the day. Cavern of Souls, obviously we'll say horror. Oil Slick Land. Shieldred, legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor. This one's good because it has pay 4 and a black, exile it, then return it to the battlefield, transformed under its owner's control. And I can activate this only if there are 8 or more cards in their graveyard. But a really powerful flip card here. You can read what it does from the enchantment, but it has discarding 3 cards, then milling 3 cards, which is really powerful, and then put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. So it's another Rise of the Dark Realms. I've never gotten this off either. It might be a little bit too cumbersome. Maybe I'll swap it, but for now, it'll stay in. Now, this was the sub-commander for this pre-con. Zelix, Sanity Flayer, 2 and a blue. He's a horror. Whenever a player mills 1 or more cards, you create a 1/1 black creature token, which is insane. And then target player mills 3 cards for 1 colorless. So really, this pushes the mill mechanic even further. If I wanted to shift this deck to a faster, pure mill deck, this would definitely be the guy to choose. Mana Vault, because Mana Crypt is gone, and I need a little bit of speed for a 5-cost commander. Polluted Delta. Urza Saga, because always Urza Saga. Oil Slick Island. Oil Slick Island, just added this as well. Choked Estuary. These islands I need more Oil Slicks for. This is one of my proxies of a Watery Grave. Get that Shockland in there. Just put this in. I got this from that big collection buyout. Search the library for an instant card or a card with flash, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Lots of stuff I can get in this deck for this. I can get my interaction, Force of Will. I can get Deadly Rollick. I can get any of the flash creatures we've gone through. Really quite potent in this deck. And then the island. So that is the deck as it's currently comprised. There's a few cards that I might want to add to it that I've gotten since I built this deck out. I might want to add Bad Moon, just 1 in the black. All black creatures gain +1. Help me get those triggers to hit a little bit harder with Captain N'ghathrod. Reanimate. There's a lot of stuff in the graveyard, or if N'ghathrod gets removed, I'll put him in the graveyard and then I can grab him this way, make it a little bit faster to get on my feet after some removal, because obviously he is a heavy removal target. Mutavault. This might turn into a horror. Maybe I just need 1 more creature to get through. I have 4 attacking, you have 4 blockers. Get Mutavault in there and still get a trigger of N'ghathrod, maybe. Gilded Drake, I've always wanted to have this in a deck. This is the one we built on that stream. This might be kind of fun to put in there. It's a really good way to steal people's stuff. So with that sub-theme of stealing stuff, The one ring was already in there. Damnation from the really cool Spider-Man Secret Lair. Destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. Why not? Having a board wipe in case I was kind of slow to get started. Peter Parker's Camera, we talked about this before. It's a really powerful card for one colorless, and then I could just pay 2 and tap it, and maybe double my mill triggers, double Captain N'ghathrod. This might be actually a way to end games, so I think this might have to go in the deck. I thought this would be good, but it's a discard, not a mill, so we're gonna skip that. Cabal Ritual should be pretty good. I should get a lot of stuff in the graveyard. Cabal Ritual, maybe if I need to be a little bit faster, but I'm not sure if I actually need it in the deck. And then finally, the Soul Stone. We got to get the Soul Stone in this deck. It definitely wants it, especially with the graveyard tech going on here. So Soul Stone is definitely going to be an include, but I think I'm going to proxy it and keep this one in the case. All right, now you have seen the deck. Let's go into the gold fishing portion and see how well we can pretend to take other people's stuff. That's the one reason I was a little hesitant to make this video. When the deck is so based around stealing other people's things, it's a little hard to accurately goldfish. So we're gonna focus more on how quickly we can get our engines online to start taking people's stuff. All right, see you in the gold fishing portion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the deck tech portion of this video on Moxfield. We have Captain N'ghathrod. This is one of the more affordable decks. I do have some pretty specialized treatments in here, and if you were to strip that back and maybe replace some of the more expensive spells like Fierce Guardianship and Deadly Rollick with other more traditional interaction, you could probably build a pretty good simulacrum of this deck for around $500, which is, don't get me wrong, a very expensive deck, but I think you get outstripped power for that value in this deck because so much of what it does is about taking your opponent's stuff and using it against them. So it scales up with the power of the table around you. As long as you start milling, which is not an expensive gameplay strategy to implement in Commander, you should be okay. We only have 33 lands here, but as you'll see, my color is balanced and I believe I curve out really well on this with a low CMC. I've never personally had any issues with mana in this deck. You can see here, my mana value of the deck is 2.44, and I have a perfect balance almost between my mana symbols, a little more black than blue. I should probably swap that given that more of my symbols are blue than black. But again, I haven't really had that issue, so I may tool that up a little bit after this video. And then again, I have a 97.5% chance of playing on curve, which I think is a really, really good stat for this deck. So let's jump right into some hands to see how we do with a little bit of play testing. Now, it's important to note when we goldfish here, this deck in particular is going to be really hard to emulate reality because so much of it is based upon what my opponents are doing at the time, what's in their graveyard, what I can steal, and if I can actually get in for damage with a horror. So much of this deck relies upon interaction and gameplay that I think what we're going to do is really test how quickly I can get my strategy online, and that will be a real test of the deck itself. So this is a totally fine one to play because Captain N'ghathrod is such an essential part of my deck. Having such confident land bases here, making sure I have my colors that I need, getting a bit of a Dimir Aqueduct here to speed me up slightly. After casting a Spellskite on turn 3 seems like a really good way to tempo out for this deck. We have Traumatize as well, which is always amazing in here. So if I can make contact with even one of my creatures that are a horror, I can very quickly have lots of options to steal and put on the battlefield. So we're just going to do very quickly a tapped Dimir Aqueduct, and then say go. Draw for turn, of course, which I forgot, but then we'll say go. Now we have Toxrill. Ooh, this is looking really good. So now we have 2 mana on the battlefield, which is going to require me to bounce something, but I can tap this for 2 right now, play a Spellskite, then I'll play another land that enters tapped to put this back into my hand. And now I have a really powerful protection here in Spellskite, as you can change the target of any target spell or ability to Spellkite for 2 life or a blue. Very versatile, very good when I'm trying to have interaction and rush things out without needing to spend too much mana to accomplish that. Let's go to the next turn. Oh my goodness, never didn't have it. This is incredible. We're gonna tap this, we're gonna play a Soul Ring, we're gonna play land for turn, get this back out in the battlefield. It comes in tapped. I have 2 colorless, but I don't really need to play anything right now. We have Spellskite. Let's slow down a little bit and not look too threatening because we're about to have 5 mana on turn 4, and that means we're going to get Captain N'ghathrod out on the battlefield on turn 4, which is a really, really powerful way to start this. So let's see how we do. Oh, beautiful. This is difficult to decide now. Whenever a player mills 1 or more creature cards, you create 1 black horror creature token. So I really want to have this on the battlefield by the time I play Traumatize. Already, this is a really, really good hand. So first and foremost, we need to have both of our colors in order to cast Captain N'ghathrod. We have that with Dimir Aqueduct here. So we're just going to bring out the Swamp, and now we're going to get right to getting Captain N'ghathrod out and hoping that on turn 4 he doesn't get removed. Luckily, any targeted removal, I'll have 1 sort of block here with Spellskite, and then we're going to say go on to the next turn. Now, we have 2 horrors who are ready to swing out. I have the ability to have them mill as a result of that. So I think what we're going to do is just bring out my horror synergy for milling and assume we're going to hit 1 or 2 people here with these cards in order to get some mill started. We're going to play our tap land for turn because we don't need it this turn. And now we're going to assume that I got to steal something in the graveyard. Now, typically I would say we were only going to do 5 turns to see how this deck is going. But assuming we survive some removal with Spellskite, we can go on to our next turn here and suddenly we're going to play Traumatize. And we're going to create so many horror creature tokens, it's going to be insane. We might actually be able to mill out most of our opponents with this. We have Fierce Guardianship as protection. So I think this is a really, really strong opening hand, and it shows just what this deck can do. Especially with, if you remove Fierce Guardianship, the power and value on this table is $12 worth of cards, maybe. So again, really, really good, and this deck can be quite budget if built without, specialized treatments and such. But you know me, I have a weakness for trying to bling out decks. Let's do another test hand. That went really well. All right, welcome to playtest number 2. We have a decent start here, but unfortunately, as much as I'd like to keep this, 2 lands, but we do have a Pongify and a 1 ring. We have a pretty low casting cost plus a Fierce Guardianship. Let's play a risky hand and see how we do with our lower mana curve in this deck. I'm going to say we're going to take the risk. I hate using my Takenuma just as basic land power, but at the end of the day, when you have a 1 ring on the board, if we do get the 4 mana, we're not going to have to worry about much of anything. So here we go. Excellent. We're going to let this come in tapped and say go. I'm not worried about a Pongify here. Next turn, we might even be able to keep our Takenuma for interaction, depending on how many lands we get. Beautiful. We now have a counterspell up and running, but I think what we're going to do instead is not try and get in the way of other people's strategies. Let's just get a horror out in the battlefield now while we have the mana. That's very, very likely going to be able to trigger Captain N'ghathrod because he has Shadow. This creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with Shadow. So very, very likely there's going to be at least one person, if not everybody, who this is going to guarantee hit next turn. Oh my goodness, we have a Rhystic Study here. So we are going to pay that Takenuma. We're going to come in here. We're going to Rhystic Study. We're going to assume that I get at least 1 trigger off this as we go around the table and enter into my next turn. So we're going to draw 1 additional card. I think that's fair. Path of Ancestry unfortunately comes in tapped, so we're still 1 turn away from getting out our 1 ring, but I think what we would do is probably have some interaction this turn. So let's say we're going to Pongify something, and then go on to our next turn here. I'm going to assume that this triggers 1 more time at least, which seems fair. People might agree, but I think that seems fair. We're going to do that. We're going to play that command tower here, which is lovely. I love having a Dimir Aqueduct here ready to go as well. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to play the 1 ring, immediately uptick it, tap it, draw, and now I have immunity throughout the next turn. Oof, this is lovely to see. We're going to then just say go on the next turn here, and we're ready to bring out Captain N'ghathrod, have some horrors hit, and I'm protected, plus Spellskite, plus 2 counter spells, 3 counter spells, really, if I get some things in graveyards. This is a good setup, but again, one that kind of fizzles in the sense of goldfishing because I can't show you the interaction of what I'm stealing. So this is fine, a little slower than the last one, but the 1 turn off of being damaged or targeted from the 1 ring does make up for that quite nicely. All right, let's go on to the next one. Oh, beautiful. So we have a really, really cool setup here. Again, we're stuck with that lovely 1 ring. We have Bolas' Citadel, which I've wanted to pop off in this deck for a while. Toxrill, just to make sure my friends have a good time. And Rise of the Dark Realms. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead here. Draw for turn. We're going to just play. I have no tap land, so we're just going to bring this in and say Horror. And then pass. Path of Ancestry comes in tapped. I have no 2-drops, so we're going to let that happen now. As it comes in, when mana is cast from this, I can scry 1. So we're going to do Horror, of course. It's a Horror Pirate. And then we're going to the next turn. So this is a very slow turn, hopefully enough to keep us off people's radars as being a threat, because we are going to have a turn 4 1 ring, which I like. Endless Evil, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of Enchanted Creature. Yeah, we want to put that on Dauthi, 100%. So we're going to 1, 2... We're going to play Dauthi. This is a beast, unfortunately, so it doesn't trigger my Path of Ancestry, but we're going to say go on to the next turn. Then we're going to play a island here. I think what I want to do, depending on what's happening in the board state, is probably get the protection and card draw of the 1 ring, and then do Endless Evil, and then bring out Captain N'ghathrod. We'll see how we do. So we're going to tap 4. We're going to do this. We're going to instantly uptick this to 1. Tap it. and we're going to draw. I realized last game I didn't take my 1 damage from the burden counter on the ring, but who cares? It's not that big a deal when goldfishing. Sorry about that. On to the next turn here, going on to turn 5. Totally protected. Now, we have another land that comes in on tap. We're going to keep Ottawa for interaction. And then I know I said I wanted to do Endless Evil. We got to start getting our strategy online here. So we're going to lose 1 life for the 1 ring, uptick it to 2, tap it, draw 2. Now, we have Lightning Greaves. Haste and Shroud. Very good. I can't afford it, unfortunately, to push out N'ghathrod any faster. So I think what we are going to do is probably just bring out our commander and say we're in a good position with this strategy here. Again, a little bit slower this time around, but we're going to protect him next turn. We have Wharf Infiltrator, which is great. We're going to also bring out River Churn next turn to start getting some churn happening and more cards milled without having to even tack with N'ghathrod, which is nice. Let's go on to the next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got to discard. We're going to discard Bolas' Citadel, unfortunately, because I'd rather just continue with this strategy. Let's go to the next. We're going to lose 2 life. We're going to uptick this one more time, tap it. We're going to draw 3. Man, the 1 ring is broken. We have a Soul Ring, never didn't have it. That's going to come right out. Then we're going to play a Choked Estuary for turn. No, we're going to play an Ottawa for turn. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, which is nice. So now what I think we would do is probably just put Lightning Greaves on our commander. And then I would probably get this out, have 1 floating, play this for the blue. Then we have 3 mana left. I would probably do Endless Evil on our Dauthi Horror. And I think we have a pretty good board state on turn 6 here. So this is fine. Again, we're missing some of that flavor of me just stealing people's stuff. So that is a little bit lost on this. I knew that was going to be a problem with this deck tech, but I think it's still good to show how quickly the strategy gets online. Let's do one more and then we'll call it a video. All right, we got a fun starting here. We got a Mana Vault with an Arcane Signet. Ooh, and a Swamp. We could rush out our commander turn 3, it looks like, which would be a huge gamble because we would need to guarantee that in the next 2 turns we get at least 1 land. Do we take the gamble? Yeah, let's do it. Draw for turn. Ooh, no land here first and foremost, but we're going to tap this and just play our Mana Vault, and then we're going to say go to the next turn. Oh no, we're not getting it. No, so we can't play the Signet. I think that means the gamble did not pay off. So what we're going to have to do just to be able to get 2 reliable mana, I think, is probably tap this for 3, tap this for 1. So we have a total of 4 mana, so we're going to play this and this just to have it on the battlefield. So I have Arcane Signet and Altar of Dementia just to make sure we don't waste any of the mana when we're so tight on mana. Unfortunately, Mana Vault remains tapped as we go into the next turn. Oh, give me a land. Oh, it's not a land. This was so risky. I can't help but play like this sometimes, but here we are. Only 2 mana, nothing to cast, and then we say go. Oh, Striatic Resonator. I mean, it's good to have, but now we're just sitting here. I can't even cast a single creature. We're in really bad shape here on turn 4. SOS, send help. I can Pongify something and just be a nuisance. No, this is the worst. One more. It's all over. Let's do one more hand. We can't end on that one. It was fun to take the gamble and see how it plays out with no real consequences. Okay, this is the real last hand, and we have an Urza Saga, Rhystic Study. Oh my god, it's so powerful. Dimir Signet. I know I'm going to be able to get out my Soul Ring to guarantee be able to play the Signet, so I have 3 mana. This is risky again, but we have a Rhystic Study here as well to help catch up afterwards. I think we're going to try it. We have Liliana here to make people discard and destroy. Let's do it. I like the risk. I can't believe I'm being risky again. Urza Saga comes out. We're not going to be able to do anything with it. Go to the next turn. Oh my goodness. I'm so bad at Magic. I can't do anything here. Go to the next turn. All right. Choked Estuary. Thank God. I don't have a swamp. It comes in tapped. Who cares? We're going to tap this thing for 1 colorless. Leave it float. Not that it's going to matter. It's just the right thing to do. We're going to go grab our Soul Ring. Put it on the battlefield, close and shuffle. So now we have 2 mana here for a total of 3 mana. We're going to tap this for 2, bring out the Signet. So we're on turn 4, but don't worry, we have 4 mana on turn 4. So that was okay, that was risky, and I looked like a nothing of a target. So hopefully that insulated me from any sort of hate or early combat damage. Let's look at what we have here next. I think what we probably do is we need to draw some cards. We really do. We need more land. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap this for 2, tap that for 1 is going to filter into this for a blue and a black. That's going to be a total of 3 mana, and we're going to play a Rhystic Study. We're going to assume that it hits at least once. I think that's fair. Ooh, excellent. Let's hope that that draw right here is going to be a land. It's a Spellskite. Not quite good enough. We need 4 mana to get the 1 ring out, but that's going to solve all of our problems. Okay, we're looking pretty good here. I think what we're going to do is ignore the spell skite. We're going to tap for 1, 2, 3, with one of them going into that, and then 4 here, and we're going to play the 1 ring, immediately uptick it. I love how often we've gotten the 1 ring. That's amazing. That's also why I love playing on a system like this, because I know I'm getting a really random draw. That's important to me. I want to know that it's random. Hey, look at this. Luckily enough, we didn't have a land to play for turn this time, so we're going to do our Dimir Aqueduct, and we're going to bounce our Choked Estuary, which may slow us down a little bit because I need another land to tap it in order for it to show up untapped on the battlefield, but this is fine. I have protection. We're on turn 7. This is very slow now. We have Takenuma, so that's great. Not a swamp, but we're just going to play that. So now we have a total of 5 mana here. I can bring out Captain N'ghathrod, which is probably the way to go. I have to lose a life. Gonna then uptick this to 2, tap it, draw 2. We have a swamp as well. I probably could have done that instead. Force of Will for an instant. I'll have to discard a hand size. This is a bit of a nothing end turn. Let's just get Captain N'ghathrod out to say we did it. So I shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 right here, leaving Takenuma out. We have Captain N'ghathrod now. No way to do any damage with him at this point in time, but we do have a Force of Will to protect him, thankfully. Spell Skite. There's a lot to do here. Spark Double Liliana, Mind Flayer. We can do a lot, but it's turn 7. It's been kind of slow and kind of risky, but that's how it works sometimes. I think the game 1 was a great example of how strong this deck can be out the gate, but without interaction, it's kind of hard to see what kind of impact I'm making, what kind of politicking I can achieve with Force of Will. So for now, this is where we're going to end the goldfishing portion of the video. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like this deck? Do you think it plays well? What changes would you make to make Captain N'ghathrod all the more friendly and all the more likely to make you friends at the table? It's a really cool deck in my mind. I think it's a lot of fun. And really, it can be a lot of bang for your buck. You could probably build a version of Captain N'ghathrod that's even meaner for way less than I even proposed at the beginning. So let me know, do you play this commander? Am I missing something that could be included? Either way, thanks so much for watching. As always, I'm the Nerdy Attorney. Be excellent to each other. Don't forget to play paper magic with your friends. And until next time, court is adjourned.